Drew Spence, the Dynamic Spider-Man Plus. We are beginning issue 5. It's the 16th and 17th chapter uploads today we're looking at. A nice review of my 4/6 comic series, which is adult. Also shared on the webtoon site in my account. Mature rating for that series. I am sharing season 1 right now. But on to the Dynamic Spider-Man Plus. Issue 5, we have the cover of Spider-Man mixed with Charlotte on the cover. The AI personality implanted in a infiltrator drone that he met in his apartment last upload. So, we're going to have some action going on, the double-page spread. Let's dive right in. So, Peter Parker always wanted to climb mountains. In this futuristic cyber-urban landscape, there aren't any mountains to climb. So he's going to do an adjustment and do some swinging around. Mega City. So he heads out. He's swinging around. This is one of those deformed fish eye lens. I think I reversed it so it bubbled inward. But this is him swinging down, and she tells him that if he can change the type of elastic with a little bit of a charge, it can make the string pull in, which is how he can pull objects to him or hoist himself up into the air. So she switches to the headset signal, which now is indicated by this icon, meaning that they're communicating through the headset and not literally speaking with some sort of amplifier to the external, which is why it faded out as he got far away and they're whipping around. So he switches to his headset, which is now you know that these icons indicate a radio transmission. So that's it. Swinging around. He asks her how much silk do they have left, and she says there's compressed liquid packets in the arms and legs. So throughout the suit, we've got these little divisions that contain more of the webbing. So he perches up on an antenna looking over the city. You know, some sort of future glimpse at him being a protector or guardian. And now we're diving into another big reveal. There, of course, obviously there's spoilers if you haven't read the book yet or read this chapter upload. I'm sort of just going through it. But we get to find out that Mary Jane Watson is a police dispatcher. She's a civilian employee of Mega City. And for her part-time job, she does dispatch. And this is like her first time getting to grips because she obviously moved into a new city. So she's new on the job. And this is what she's going to be doing. Which also explains how she had a code for the gate. When her and Peter were going through the gate and the wall gate, that's how she had a code, and she said OP, which is short for operator. So we just have now, not really a secret, but a more backstory of what Mary Jane does when she's not at the school, and it kind of makes sense that she got there on the communication scholarship. So now you're sort of seeing the pieces coming together of how she got to be where she is, why she's at the school, and everything else. So the pieces are beginning to fit in. So anyhow, this is her shift. She meets this guy. What is this, Elmhurst? Yeah, Elmhurst. You know, you can imagine Elmhurst with the Rookie. But this is her, signing in to do dispatch. So Peter listens into the city, and he's hearing the dispatch call. And the dispatch call says there could be a fire. Look at this panel. I don't know if I'm going to do technical stuff on how I built the book. But this was a crazy set to get working. I had to take it for some other programs and get this to work here. Was quite a battle. But once I got it all working and figured out how to get it laid in, this main control headquarters was awesome. It was a beast to build. Like all of the newspaper clippings and hangings on the wall and all of this stuff. And even this is a warehouse and splitting it up. This was a lot of work. And it's like, the room looks awesome, but man, this was a nightmare to get all these consoles and everything together. I do not envy going back and doing more sets like this. But anyhow, this is Mega City. Get used to seeing this. This is the police headquarters, and you can see the air purifier hovering around in the sky at all times, cleaning the air. But just, remember this building because this is the central command center for dispatch, and that's where she works. So, okay, so she sees a fire. Pete decides, let's go check it out. So he swings on over and sees like the top floor is compromised of this building. I like the banter where they talk, where like this. So this would be Mary Jane's icon because it's a nondescript police icon. There's the police badge, and it's a nondescript police icon for operator. So it's kind of funny that they chose the icon that kind of matches her. And of course, being Spidey, he's got his own icon that pops up when they're communicating over the radio. But all of them have their little icons. I love that touch. But yeah, so he calls in and says, "Hey, I'm responding to this fire." So there's a little bit of talk back and forth, and he's gonna head in. And he cuts her off. She's like, "Aerial rescue units respond to Block 21. Civilian, I need to." And he's like, "Yeah, gotta go." Like not even paying attention to anymore. But, he says the suit is fireproof. It actually has a lot more protection than that. Like, the suit should hold together under a lot of adverse conditions. But truly, it's fireproof, but you can be cooked on the inside of it. Come on. But anyhow, so he swings in. She tells him to shorten the line because obviously she's doing better calculations than Pete would. Classic Spider-Man pose, too. Oh, man, that's classic. But anyhow, it comes in, doesn't quite nail the landing, and he sees a woman down. He's trying to help her out. There's the first indicator that, his body is beginning to give out. But, they get her out and she recovers and she says, "Where's the baby? Where's my baby?" So they realize there must have been a baby there. So Pete heads back. And that was the cliffhanger for one of the chapter uploads. But we're putting them both together, so let's keep going. So he gets back in. The top floor roof part is unstable. So she's telling, Pete to hurry up because the top floor is falling apart and crumbling, and then it collapses in on them. So Charlotte tries to head in to help, and he can't get out. His body's giving out on him. You saw that when he said that she was heavy. That means his body is under distress, and yeah, and the suit doesn't quite yet figure out how to compensate because it's not really built for, a somewhat slim, lightweight teenager, late teen. It's really built for, soldiers that are supposed to be using all of this gear, but whatever. So he gets trapped underneath. Charlotte's trying to find a way in, so she heads down the hallway, and that collapses too. Now they're both trapped. And Charlotte says she wants her Turbo Teddy, which is that little teddy bear you saw on the suitcase. You get the thought that was the teddy bear she's been talking about the whole time. And it actually wasn't. He thinks because she's asking for her teddy bear that she's malfunctioning like the little kid in her. I love the Spidey eyes. Oh my gosh, that's a great touch. But Turbo Teddy, activate the Ruckus. And now you get the visor view of the Ruckus where it gives you a warning sign. This is like the inside visor of the Ruckus, which is the giant mechanical spider drone. And inside of it, you can see it's got all of its HUD displays, but it also has the indicator warning that they're about to operate in a fiery location. I like how it has like a little warning in its own visor, like we're about to, get crazy. So it busts in through the roof. You can see it collapse part of the roof as it drops down into the roof area and digs out Peter and the baby, and then opens the hatch to put the baby and Peter in. Charlotte is damaged and incommunicado, so they're gonna run over. This doesn't really have eyes, but I kind of consider this the eyes of it. Like if you were to look at the front end of it, maybe this will be considered its eyes. Why not? But the drone runs in there. They grab Charlotte and they make a hasty exit. This is a 3D shot that looks really, really good if you have a decent pair of glasses, the kind with the red and blue lens. And yeah, this is them heading out. So now it's going to be Peter Parker as Spider-Man, the dynamic Spider-Man Plus, inside the giant Ruckus mecha. And then on front of it is the drone interface, which is Charlotte. So basically the three of them is going to be, this basically is the dynamic Spider-Man Plus. All of that together. So they get out from the Ruckus. Minor detail, but when he uses the headset, the integrated spider, if you haven't noticed, the spider's also on the cover of the book. This indicates integration. assuming I keep remembering all these details as I produce the book. But this indicates that he's now integrated and calling from a Ruckus unit. So that's, in case I blow that in the future, that's what this is supposed to be now. But anyhow, she integrates with the unit. She's like on the front of it, and, they're out. And, yeah, they save the lady and they got her back, her baby. And then the aerial rescue units finally show up to put out the fire and deal with everything else. And, they realize that, this could be what we're going to do from now on. Let's protect the city, fight some fires, and do some cool things. So she explains that it's the Robotic Utility Combiner Unified System, which is actually the Ruckus. So that was what we're going to call this robot, the Ruck or the Ruckus. So, and he says, hey, the soldiers used to, the soldiers use this kind of stuff. And he's like, well, we're not soldiers. We're going to be regular civilians helping people out. But now Pete's beginning to get sick. There's a lot going on. So Charlotte takes over control of the Ruckus. And as she takes over control, the symbol moves to her now because she's controlling the Ruckus. So Pete was in control of it before. Now she's taken over all of the duties of it. But anyhow, back at the station, Elmhurst is surprised that, Mary Jane was so cool because, there was a fire. There was no air support. But, she just did well for her basically first big mission here. And she says, she wasn't alone, that she had a mysterious friend. Obviously, she means the dynamic Spider-Man. So it's going to be interesting that they go to school together. And he's Spider-Man being a helpful civilian. And she is a civilian helping out with the police. So that's kind of interesting that we're going to have a interesting dynamic between the two of them. So he gets back and he needs air. And the visor made him blind. Uh-oh. You've seen that motif before. And his insides are on fire. So there's obviously a bunch of things going on at once. He's sick. The suit had injected him with some stuff going on here. The soldiers took some kind of serum. If you remember that from the beginning of the book, we had talked about that. And they need a bunch of serum to be, to handle the G-forces and everything else going on when you're running around in these mecha robots. That's why you need to take some kind of injection. So he's getting sick and he falls under some kind of spell. He just needs to take a nap and he kind of passes out. This is a flashback telling you the story up to date for the Doc Ock part, and this is the truth of how the story's gone. So the Sinful Corporation staged a terrorist attack on their own corporation headquarters. So that was what we saw at the beginning of the first book. And all the electronic equipment was frozen. He turned off all the cameras, everything that could record in the area. And then they told the fake story that Ben Parker, Pete's uncle, Uncle Ben, acted bravely and to save the lives of other people, which wasn't true. They also said that, our Doc Ock was killed in the attack, which is also not true. Now, the truth of it is they told the public at first it was a industrial accident. So that's the first layer of the lie, which sort of isn't true. Then the second layer of the lie is that it was a terrorist act that they're trying to hide from the public. So it's almost like, in many ways, if you can hide the truth with two layers of lying, people are more likely to believe a lie if they believe they've uncovered a lie themselves. So just hearing that it's a terrorist attack is going to make everyone feel like, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. Oh my goodness, they got attacked, and it's, it wasn't an industrial accident, they got attacked. But that's the layer of it. But the truth is it was staged, and it was a false flag operation on their own corporation to make them seem like they're the victims of the same stuff they're actually up to. So it's a very clever ploy to pretend to be the victim yourself. So, he is down here trying to get information, so he logs into their servers, because they turned off all the equipment, and he's looking at it. And he's realizing, okay, they sent these soldiers to get me, which was the last book, and he's going to leak all the video, all the information, all the data that they blocked. He's going to leak it to the public. And that will let the public know that they've been lying and there's a whole lot going on. So, he has a plan. You know, the authority escort truck they used will escort me to their doorstep. So he's formulating a game plan for his revenge on the sinful corporation. Like, okay, I see what they're up to. I'm going to put all of these tools that they've got to my use. So he's formulating a plan on what he's going to do. And of course, when he says my protector has finally arrived, you can imagine what that is. That's now somehow found its way into the underground, a abandoned subway system. So that's how he's going to be getting around underneath the city and, technically able to pop up places. So this is now his new game plan. And it says, below the thunders of the upper deep, where man shall fall and rise in sleep. This is a clipped bit of poetry from the poem, I think it's called Kraken, if I remember correctly. When I'm putting this all together, I'm in writer mode. So I'm doing like a million things that even I don't catch myself, because when I'm writing all of this, it's a different mindset than when I'm reading it. And I'm just enjoying it and looking at the art and stuff. But there's a whole lot going on. The play Kraken is obviously, he was talking about the Kraken, which is the machine that he has. So he's doing a call back to that machine. So you can kind of guess that, we're going to go into this cyber universe, and there's going to be a lot of big machinery besides just characters running around with superpowers. Like this, we're going to really go some interesting places. But that's what's going on in this chapter. This was a demo I did for Marvel Entertainment. Now it's being released as a free webtoon series. I upload, usually it's just supposed to be on Thursdays, but recently I've been uploading on Thursdays and Fridays. This is a double feature. I put 2 chapters together, but we're going to slow down a bit. But I just think a lot of people were just so impatient. I've been uploading huge chapters and kind of breaking some of the rules, but we're going to slow down a bit. Now that you kind of know where this is going and you understand how the system works, I think a lot of more people have a little bit more trust in this series and what I'm trying to do with it. So I thank you. Please subscribe to this channel. What else are you supposed to do? Like the videos, share it with a friend, tell someone else that you know that's into comics that the story exists. Yeah, throw some likes on each chapter upload. I think all that stuff is helpful. Feedback is good. We appreciate your comments. Right now, before things turn out of hand, I try to respond to them and respond to people who have things to say about the series. That's really it. I'm Drew Spence, the Dynamic Universe. This is my comic series. It's an IP expansion of the Spider-Man license called The Dynamic Spider-Man Plus. And I will see you guys next week.